Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good evening, everybody. Just give me just a second. I'm still getting set up. I am ill prepared. I just got home from work like a half an hour ago. Alhamdulillah. And this evening, we're going to dive into a very, very, very deep book. Assalamu alaikum, Isa Shakir. Good brother. Inshallah, we're going to get into a book called Umul Buraheen. This book is very, very, very deep. Again, I'm going to try and be as brief as possible. But basically, alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulullah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Amma ba'd. We have a problem nowadays where people in general don't know what to believe. A lot of people say that they believe, but a lot of people don't have the proper belief system. So that was actually that is the intention of this particular video series. That was the intention for the scholar who wrote this book, Imam Ash'ari, rahimahumullah. That was the reason why he wrote this book as well. I'm going to be reading from the version of the book that was produced by Sheikh Saeed Fowler. I'm going to do my own narration, as I always like to do. I don't hold every belief that every scholar holds. I know some of my Hanbali friends don't really like Sheikh Saeed. He was very opinionated when it came to. He absolutely positively hates Wahhabis. That's just hands down. So that's one blow. Not that the Hanabila are like friends with the Wahhabis or whatnot, but the Hanabila, the Wahhabiyya tried. They legitimize themselves with the works of the Hanabila, and he doesn't like that. So I'm gonna try my best to. I ain't getting involved in that. And as far as I'm concerned, the Hanabila have they are one of the three schools of Aqidah, if you ask me. And inshallah ta'ala, one of my Hanbali friends will restart their. Sorry, I'm looking at this book. I'm trying to get to the part where I need to be. They'll restart their series on the platform, inshallah ta'ala. But basically, we're going. This book is a little different than a lot of the famous books that were written about Aqidah. Most books just touched on just basically touched on Aqidah. And most of the Aqidah are in, as far as I've seen so far in my studies, it's like built into like other books, mostly and mainly fiqh books. You got to go to great lengths to find the Aqidah works, or the for those people who don't know the word Aqidah, to give a loose and legitimate translation. You gotta go. I'm doing a video. Go outside. Sorry. The word Aqidah is basically the framework of belief. That's basically what it is. So the Aqidah is basically the foundations of belief and Islamic belief. Anyway, SubhanAllah, my mouse is just moving so slow. So I get to the part where I need to be. Give me 1 second. Sheikh Saeed Sfoldo wrote a very long. Here we go. Wrote a very long introduction to the video. I mean, to the book, basically giving a long history of basically the Aqidah wars. We have the Aqidah wars nowadays as well. Hey, Amir Khalil, what's up, Habibi? What's going on? Yeah, Imam Abu Muhammad, what's happening? The partners, the gang in here, y'all. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah, what's going on? Y'all, Sufyan, assalamu alaikum, Habibi. But basically, he gave a long synopsis of the Aqidah wars. I'm not going to go into that. I want to dive straight into what is belief. That's what this series is going to be based on. It's going to be what is belief according to Islam and according to Muslims. But it's a few things before you jump into a book like this. This particular book is different because most of the Aqidah works and the Aqidah books. Hey, Imam Malik Robinson, assalamu alaikum, Habibi. Most of the Aqidah works, like I said before, you got to go. You have to go. You got to go through some things to pretty much figure out the meanings of the belief systems. For the Malikis, I follow the Maliki school. It's infused in our fiqh books. We do have some separate writings and some separate books, but nowadays you'll be a lifetime trying to find those books and find where it's at in those books, or even finding some of the writings that some of our scholars produced. But one big problem that a lot of people don't realize when it comes to Aqidah or the foundations of belief, or the definition of what belief is what they don't. My kufi is always crooked, man. I don't know if it's my camera or what. But we don't find this particular book, Barahin. It basically means the mother of all evidence. Great name for a book, especially for a book that's in reference to belief. I forgot to promote. Y'all like, comment, and share. I don't care if you just put a thumb, put the heart. If you ain't watching this, if you are watching it, if you see the good brother on here, you see the good brothers on the platform, Amir Khalil, Malik Robinson, Abdul Mujib, all of my associates that y'all know of and that I shout out in all of my videos, show support. And definitely show support for African American scholarship. Not that we're scholars, but the word scholar means one who studies. We definitely that. We're definitely, inshallah ta'ala, tulabul ilm. We're students of knowledge. And we're making our best effort. And I'm following the footsteps and the best effort of a lot of the brothers that I'm closely associated with, to bring knowledge from our perspective, for our perspective, and in our perspective. One being an American perspective on traditional knowledge in Islam, and then two, let me just be raw with it. A black perspective. We got everybody else's perspective, so please show the support for the brothers like myself, or just trying to make an effort. Show the support. Let's control the algorithm. Don't let the algorithm control you. And I always say it in just about every video, this is the stuff that we should be talking about, and this is the stuff that we should be watching on Facebook and Reels and Instagram and all that stuff, social media. This is the kind of conversations and kind of things that we should be doing. So please show the support, y'all. I'm gonna be real. It is a little disheartening, like when you see people like Cardi B and Sukihana and all those, all these figures and characters in the internet world getting millions and millions and millions of views, and they don't have any of the haq. They telling people garbage. They ain't doing nothing but telling people garbage through in and throughout. And then you have us. We study hard and for ourselves first to correct ourselves. We're correcting our families, trying to lead our families our best, and trying to lead our communities as best we possibly can with the haq, with the truth. And people don't want to hear it. So I'm gonna hold y'all feet to the fire. I'm gonna hold viewers' feet to the fire. It's very disheartening, especially and I know Amir Khalil, some of the brothers. I know y'all can relate to this. Like when you might work real hard for a presentation that you're gonna give during Jum'ah and Ta'aleem or like one of your live streams or whatever, just trying to promote the haq. And then you get like 80 views in like 2 weeks. You be like, dang, I thought I put it down in that one, man. I'm gonna be real. A lot of people don't like being real about that kind of stuff. So show the support, man. Show the support. It don't cost you nothing. I keep telling everybody, if you share this and I say something good and it go on your page, you get the barakah. You get the thawab. And if them people share it off of your page and off your audience and off your followers, all of us is getting the blessings. All of us is getting the rewards. That's what we in the game for. We're trying to make our scales heavy on the good side, on the right-hand side, when we go to the day of judgment. That's what this is about. So show the love, show the support. When you see any of us up here doing, I don't care, anybody who y'all know is trying their best to be on the straight and righteous path, show the support. Okay, so back to the presentation. One thing that a lot of people don't know is that we don't find a lot of books like al-Barahim, the mother of all proofs for the existence of Allah and for the proof of Allah and belief, Islamic belief, the Islamic belief system. We don't find a lot of this type of writing, this style of scholarship. We don't find this type of book a lot in the time, quote unquote, in the time of the Salaf, in the time of the Sahaba. So, you got a few groups of people out there that making a lot of noise. That's like, this is bid'ah. I never heard Abu Bakr say that. I never heard Omar say that. That's bid'ah and it's wrong. And you're Ash'ari dog. All right. Okay. Yeah. We've been there, done that. Y'all got that off y'all chest. Now let's do what we doing right now. Open this stuff up. That's all this book is. This book is right now. It's my favorite book. I've been dealing with this book probably for about 8 years. Not this book particularly, this topic particularly, for about 8 years. And it's basically the evidence and proofs of the metaphysics. We can't prove. This is the biggest thing nowadays, especially I can't really speak on other parts of the world. I could just speak on the part of the world that I reside and that I sprang out from. The main thing that I hear folks say to me is, how you know? You ever seen God? You ever met Muhammad? You know the Sahaba? How do you know they said that? How do you know that it's true? And that is a legitimate question. That's a legitimate question. And it's wrong for studious individuals to be upset at people when they say that. And then when they challenge you with it also. I've been challenged with it so much all the way through my Islam, from when I first became a Muslim, coming from the streets, in the gang and, with the guys, they all they get at you. They be like, man, how you know? Oh, you doing this because you scared. You doing it because you caught a case. Or a dude might get shot. And, everybody got like something that they go through that make them feel like, man, I ain't doing that no more. It ain't worth it. I'm going to change my life. And when you make your mind up to change your life, one of the things that's readily available for you is Islam. So, we get a lot of societal pressure because, I can't call God on the phone and be like, see, look, he exists, and give you the phone. That ain't the name of the game. And that's somehow we'd have been tricked into believing that that's the name of the game, that if you can't see it, touch it, or taste it, then it don't exist. That's not logical. So this type of book deals specifically with the metaphysical fabric, if that's a such thing, with the metaphysical fabric of belief. Right now it's the coldest book, if you ask me. Like when I found out about this book, Sheikh Rami sent me the book like 3 years ago. Once he seen that I was kind of obsessed with, the metaphysical aspect of belief. and I kept asking him questions, and Sheikh Rami is the type of person that like to put you to work. You ain't gonna bother him. You ain't gonna worry him to death. He the type. I should show you. I should show y'all one of the books he sent me. I want to pull it out. He sent me a book that's about this big. I kept asking all these questions. One time he got mad and was like, "Man, stop asking me the questions when you able to look for it and study it and find it for yourself. Quit always asking me every little itty bitty little thing. Put in some work." And he sent me a bunch of books. But he sent me a book about this big, man. I still ain't got through it. But I've been dealing with this book for a long time, and I've really been pushing off trying to do a video on this book because you got to be very careful with what you're saying. This the big leagues. This the NFL right here. We're talking about belief. We're talking about your iman, your everything. You don't have nothing else other than your belief. And if you don't have any belief, this is a video like this. If it's not done right, and if a person don't say the right things, then a person who don't have belief, they ain't gonna never get no belief. Assalamu alaikum, Sister Malika. Abu Isa. Assalamu alaikum. I was just sneak dissing you, man. That's my Hanbali friend that I was telling y'all that inshallah ta'ala, we get back in the swing and start teaching y'all the Hanbali Aqidah or belief. And for people who don't know what these terminologies are, it's all the same stuff. It's tomato, literally. And there's evidence for tomato and there's evidence for tomato. Literally, it's all the same stuff. All the same stuff. And it's actually beautiful. You can see the difference. That's how I look at it. Like the three schools, the Maturidiyya, the Ash'ariyya, and the Hanabila. Those are like all the different angles that you can look at belief. And if you're smart, you will try to get some kind of understanding of all three of these belief systems. That'll increase your understanding, which will increase and make more firm, make more hard your iman. It'll make your iman more solid, your belief more solid. And when your belief is solid, then you can move about through life a whole lot easier. That's what all this is about. So for all the people who are beginners, or all the people who don't have any grasp of these concepts, and y'all just learning, or y'all don't even know what Islam is, and you see that the title of this video is The Belief of the Muslims, and that's going to make a lot of people look at this like, I always wanted to know what these people believe. That's what the name of the game is for us, is to increase what Islam has a concept called yaqeen, which is certainty. And certainty about the metaphysical, certainty about the belief, certainty about the unseen. But back to my point, sorry, I got a little sidetracked, but on to my point, rather, you don't find belief broken down into edible pieces in the time of the Sahaba, in the time of the Salaf, for one simple reason, is because it wasn't a problem for them. Write that down, memorize it, repeat it to yourself. I'm telling you, from 12 years of looking at this particular topic for my own self before I open my mouth about it. And I'm only opening my mouth about it because, once you get engaged with it, things are shown to you. It becomes reality. You get a taste of yaqeen. I don't, inshallah I have yaqeen, but I know I've tasted it, I've smelled it, I've been around it. That certainty, and that's what keeps me going. That's what keeps me driven. From going through a whole lot, the up and the down, giving up, and your brain just not being at rest, your heart not being at rest, because you just got to know. I'm telling you, from at least 12 years of me looking at this, belief. Forget how to pray, when to pray, how to wash up for prayer. Do you supposed to even pray? Who you supposed to pray about? Forget all of that. Before you do all of that, you have to have the correct belief. That's the very, 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 very first thing in Islam. So it wasn't a problem, Sister Tasha, assalamu alaikum. It wasn't a problem for the companions for a lot of different reasons. And not to get far too into that aspect of this topic, but just imagine if you lived around a prophet. You live around a prophet. if for Islam, and I know it was similar with the other religions or whatever, but for in Islam and with the companions, the disciples of the Prophet Muhammad, alayhi salatu wasalam, they watched. He was already a good person, a great person. He was already known to be the greatest person. He already was. And to see a person like that reach the zenith of being a great person, that alone will move you. That alone will move you. That is what moves us as people. That's what moves us. Alhamdulillah, I've been able to help a lot of people since I've been a Muslim because they knew who I was before, or they might have met me in my early stages and seen how I was, and then watch me grow into who I am today. And they like, man, that dude, man, I was just sitting talking to my cousin yesterday, and he like, man, and this is my cousin, somebody that helped raise me, and my older cousin, they like, man, you was a hell raiser. Lord, have mercy. And for people to see you change, that influences them. That even tells them that, you know, if you're not already a good person, you could be if you are already a good person, you could be a better person. Not that I'm better than anybody. Or if you need to change, and not that I'm the change that you need to make, but you definitely need to be doing some of the things I'm doing for sure. That tells you that you can do it too. So the disciples of the Prophet Muhammad, they seen that man. They seen that man doing things like getting up in the middle of the night at like 3 o'clock in the morning. Still got to go to work the next day. People make those excuses. He still had to go to work the next day. He had 5, 6, 7 wives and families at one time. One of you scholars out here correct me. However many he had at the most at one time. He had he had a few wives, which means he had multiple families that he had to be present there for with their kids, his own kids. He was a political leader. He had to go and do that the next day. He was an organizer. Everything that a human being could be, Prophet Muhammad was that. And he used to do stuff like 3 o'clock in the morning, get up and recite half the Quran. People would look at this and know this. His wife, whoever he was with at that night and that time, she would notice this type of stuff and then go tell somebody. And that was influential. And then people, next thing you know, they doing it. Stuff like that. They witness stuff like that. And at that time, there was no prophet to lead him in doing this stuff. So they know it was revelation. And when they asked him what was his motivation, he told them it was revelation. God told me to do this. And they were like, man, God told you to do it for real. Yeah, he told me to do it. And then he'll say to them what God said to him. That's what Islam is. That's what belief is. That's what religion is. It's supposed to change you to make your everyday life, the hardships in this life ain't nothing but hardships. It's supposed to make that easier. Brother Kenyatta, assalamu alaikum. So to circle around to my point in this introduction, this is not the book, y'all. This is my introduction to the book. To circle back around to my point, don't get caught up in the intellectual gymnastics. When somebody see you listening to this video, they see you share this video, they see you like this video, and they know this video is on this book called Barahin, and they know it's the book that's written by Imam Ash'ari, rahimahumullah, and then they start calling you names. Don't get caught up in that. And it's very easy to get caught up in that. Very easy. I'm not saying expose yourself to things that are wrong, but definitely stand on your own 2 feet. And at this point in this presentation, I have to say to you that our scholars say that your faith is not valid if your faith leans on the faith of somebody else. So somebody, and I'm hard-headed anyway. I done had Shia books. I done had goofy Sufi books. I done had all type of books from all kinds of places. I had books from the Ansar, and I had the Circle 7. I was just telling my wife about that book. I had all kind of stuff. But if you're truthful, you're gonna survive it. I had to look at it and be like, nah, that ain't it. That ain't it. I had some books from the Nawabians. I had the actual Metunera. I had that book. I ain't saying expose yourself to what you know to be filth, but don't lean on somebody else's understanding. Go check it out. And if you're truthful, it ain't gonna sit right. You gonna be nah, that ain't it. That ain't it. That ain't it. And you're gonna be on your journey. So with that being said, and to close up this introduction, this book breaks down what belief actually is. It's a very complex book. Very complex book. I review this book often. I don't even want to say that I've ever completed the book. I review it often. It deals with some very complex concepts. Very complex concepts. And they legit. They're definitely legit. But we have to be careful, because if the wrong thing is done or said or ingested, then you're going the wrong way. So without that, hopefully that made sense to everybody. Did that? Anybody give me a yes in the comments if that made any sense. Sister Maleka, Assalamu alaikum. If all that made sense. But I have to say all this stuff before we get in this book, because it will bore you to death. Like a book that you're not interested in, or that you don't know why the book was written and what it is and all of that. Honestly, these type books have come to me before earlier in my Islam, and I left them alone. I wasn't right there. I was like, what? Like, you talking about what? Mustahil? What? Wujud? What? What is this? I'm about to pray. I got to learn how to pray. And I left it alone when I really, these type books or these type concepts should be really the first thing that Muslims grasp. Imam Ghazali, rahimahumullah, said, your worship is not valid if you don't know who you worshiping. And we know this to be true with our Christian friends. Also our Jewish friends. They have the Sheikh, Salam alaikum, Sheikh Ismail. They had subhanAllah. When the Sheikh says yes, alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah, with a bit out of me. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. He actually helped me with my introduction to Sheikh Rami introduced me to metaphysics, the metaphysics, tasawwuf, dare I say the word. And alhamdulillah, my first guide into tasawwuf was Sheikh Ismail Cartier. He had me early in this. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. But anyway, these types of books, the concepts in these books must be understood in order for your Islam to be right and exact. And I must say that our scholars have agreed, and Sheikh or somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. Assalamu alaikum, Rashid, brother Rashid Johnson. It's not mandatory that everybody. This is not Fardu Ain. This is not like these concepts are not like a individual obligation, but to know these concepts is an obligation. So not to know them like in the book form and you can memorize it and not like that, but it is fardu kifaya, to where the people who are able must learn it, must know it, and must teach it and establish it in our communities. That is mandatory for sure. Only reason why this video exists. So without further ado, inshallah ta'ala, we're going to get into the book. It is also our sunnah that you know who you're taking from. So I'm gonna read Sheikh Sa'id Fawda's introduction on who Imam Ash'ari was. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give me and give you all the appropriate understanding of these types of works. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make these type of works a benefit to us and not a harm. Ameen. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. A brief biography of Imam Abu Abdullah as-Sanusi. His book in front of you is a refinement of Ahmad ibn Isa al-Ansari's commentary on the foundational proofs. This basic didactic, this is hardly basic. It's basic to people like Sheikh Ismail and Sheikh Saeed Fawda. It's basic to them. Hardly basic. This basic didactic text is one of the books that are well considered among Ahlul Sunnah. Its original author is one of the scholars of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, Imam Abu Abdullah as-Sanusi, rahimahumullah. His name and his ascription. Y'all pay attention to this stuff. He is Imam Muhammad bin Yusuf bin Umar bin Shu'aib as-Sanusi. He was famous for the appellation as-Sanusi, which is a tribe found in the Maghrib. So he's a black dude. I gotta shout that out. He's from Africa. Alhamdulillah. He is also nicknamed Al-Hassani in ascription to Hassan ibn Ali ibn Abi Talib, the Sahabi, the big Sahabi, from his paternal grandmother's side. So he was a Sharif. That's huge. We have to know these things about, certain awliya that's in our scholarly and intellectual history. So it ain't just, you can't just brush a guy like this off. He is also given the appellation of Tilmisani in ascription to the city of Tilmisin in Algeria. He was a scholar of Tilmisin and its righteous one, also in Africa. Its ascetic, one of its great scholars, the Sheikh, the multi-talented polymath, the righteous, abstemious. I don't know that word. Abstemious. Sheikh, what is that word? Abstemious. Somebody correct me on that. I don't know what that word means. The devout worshiper, the verifying teacher, and humble one. Abi Yaqub Yusuf. He was born sometime after 830 Hijra. His teachers and his studies. The Sheikh was brought up as a goodly, blessed, virtuous, and pious individual. He took knowledge from a large group of scholars among them. Please zoom in on this part, because some of the deviant groups, they make fun of the fact that the Imam Ash'ari was not on the correct path in Aqidah for the first 40 years of his life, which doesn't hold much weight. So let's look at his scholars, the scholars that he learned from. Most people won't know who these people are, but if you do a decent study and research, you'll find that these were giants in Islamic, in the history of Islamic scholarship. And he took from and was approved of by these giants. The first one being his father, Yusuf bin Umar, rahimahumullah, Sheikh Nasr al-Zawawi, rahimahumullah, Muhammad bin Tuzi, rahimahumullah, the Sayyid and Sharif, from whom he took knowledge of the modes of Quranic recitation, Abu al-Hajjaj Yusuf bin Abi al-Abbas bin Muhammad al-Sharif al-Hassani. You should, if you into Tilawa, you should have seen this name before. Abstemious. Nyla said it means not self-indulgent, especially when eating and drinking. Subhanallah. So he was a Sufi. And this is the kind of stuff the Sufis do. Alhamdulillah. So yeah, I mean, this is another note that we should take. You got to be almost a genius, if not a genius, when you're learning the different tilawat, the different the variant forms that the Quran was revealed in. So to learn the one form of tilawa, you up there. But to learn multiple forms of the tilawa, that you're a genius, literally. So he wasn't nobody to be played with. The just scholar Abu Abdullah al-Habab, from whom he learned the astrolabe. And the astrolabe is like astronomy. It's a type of astronomy that deals with like time and using the elements to tell time, which is like calculus. It's as a matter of fact, it's more than calculus. So again, this guy was serious. He was nobody to be played with. Like how people try to downplay him. Imam Muhammad Ibn al-Abbas, from whom he learned logic and legal theory. So he has some sanad when it comes to usul. None of this stuff is made up, like people like to say. The jurist al-Jalab, from whom he learned jurisprudence. So he was a master in fiqh as well, which people, not a lot of people know. The great saint and righteous man al-Hasan Barukan al-Rashidi, many of whose lessons the author attended, and from whom he benefited and received many blessings. The Sheikh used to love him, prefer him over others, and pray for him. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought his inner acumen and prayers to reality. So when you have a faqih, like they said, the jurist, the great saint and righteous man, when you have a wali and the fuqaha that approve of you like this testifies to your level of understanding. And all of our awliya had this unanimous acceptance among them. So if people are making fun of Imam Ash'ari rahimahumullah, if people are making fun of him, then how can you make fun of him when the people who were in charge spiritually didn't? So big problem. You got big problems there. Going further, the jurist and hadith master Abul Hasan al-Taluti, his maternal uncle, from whom he learned the epistle of the fiqh of Imam Shafi'i. So he was a Shafi'i, arguably. The pious and scrupulous Imam Abu al-Qasim al-Kanabashi, from whom he learned the book Al-Irshad from Abu Ma'ali al-Juwayni. Y'all know who al-Juwayni is. The pious and scrupulous Imam and proof Abu Zayd al-Tha'labi. I know y'all seen his name in books, from whom he learned the two Sahih collections, Bukhari and Muslim. So for all those people who say, this is not Quran and Sunnah, this is an individual who is a master of Quran and Sunnah, let alone knowing it or not knowing it. Joyce Pro, you late. Assalamu alaikum. In other books of hadith, after which he received a license and ijaza to narrate as his teacher. So he has ijaza. He was accepted among the scholars of his time. The ascetic and the sincere Saint Ibrahim At-Tazi, who invested in him with the khirqa on behalf of his shuyukh. Khirqa, the Sheikh says, the Sufi patchwork cloak symbolizing his investiture into the spiritual path. I'm not familiar with that. Sheikh Ismail probably can break that down to us. What is the khirqa? On behalf of his shuyukh, he also narrated many musalsal traditions and other narrations. Musalsal traditions are traditions in which a teacher narrates a hadith saying to his student, and this is the first hadith I heard from my own sheikh. So that's also testification. Witnesses. This is shahada. He had many witnesses to his great knowledge. The noble and pious scholar Abu Hasan al-Qalsadi al-Andalusi, for whom he learned the laws of inheritance and mathematics. Everybody knows that if you learn the laws of warath, of inheritance, then off top, you're an imam, you're a faqih, off top. He granted the author As-Sanusi a license in all that he has narrated from him. In some, excuse me, y'all, I keep saying Imam Ash'ari. I keep mixing them up. Sorry, Imam Sanusi. Sorry, sorry. In some, because this is Ash'ari Aqidah. So excuse me for the slip of the tongue, y'all. In sum, he was a miraculous sign with regards to his knowledge, guidance, righteousness, reputation, renunciation, scrupulousness, and piety. So to say the least, he was approved of every step of the way. So I had to read that. I know that was very boring. I apologize. I had to read that because his Imam Sanusi's legitimacy is attacked. Imam Ash'ari's legitimacy is attacked. So right there, it shows you the Prophet ﷺ said that the Ummah would never agree on dalala, would never agree on misguidance. So we have people who put characters like Ibn Abdul Wahhab, who the Ummah completely disapproved of, completely and totally disapproved of. You won't find one righteous scholar who was elected by the people from Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah who approved of him in his time. All of them came together, as a matter of fact, and made ijma against him and put fatwa out against him. They put people like him up against people like Imam Sanusi and people like Imam Ash'ari. And so, that's a big problem. That's a big problem. When you see here clearly that the scholars all accepted him. And the scholars they don't do this stuff like that just because they friends with you or they want something from you or want some kind of position from you or anything like that. It's the complete opposite, as a matter of fact. It's 100% the complete opposite. And they didn't work for the government. They worked alongside of the government, but not for the government. It goes further into the life of Imam Sanusi. I'll read his death. I don't want to bore y'all too much, but you must know these. You must know these things so that you'll know you can dive head first and be completely open-minded and open-hearted when we learn in this book and this type of material. His death. When he sensed his mortal illness, As-Sanusi left the masjid and remained in his bed until death overtook him. His sickness lasted 10 days. When his death was near, his nephew instructed him to repeat the testimony of faith over and over again. Side note, always have let your tongue be moist with La ilaha illallah. You don't know when you're going to die. So if you ain't doing nothing or while you're doing something, try to remind yourself to always just randomly be saying La ilaha illallah. And if you're on a deathbed or you're sick, this is a sunnah to always be saying La ilaha illallah. There's a hadith. I don't know the strength of it, but it's said in the hadith that if the last words that you say are La ilaha illallah, then you'll be admitted into paradise. So he was doing that. After saying this over and over again, As-Sanusi turned to him and asked, is there anything else besides saying that? His daughter said to him, go and leave me alone. He responded, the paradise will soon be our gathering place, inshallah. Before his death, he said, we asked him, the glorified, to grant us and our loved ones the ability to recite the testimony of faith while knowing what it means. He died on Sunday, the 18th month of Jumada ul-Akhirah in the year 895 Hijrah. After his death, the people smelled the fragrance of fine musk, rahimahumullah. Al-Malali said approximately, this is one of his big students, said approximately 2 years before his death, he informed me that he was 55 years old. At-Tinbakturi said in An-Nailul Ibtihaj, I saw preserved with some of the scholars that they asked the aforementioned Al-Malali about the age of the Sheikh, and he replied he died when he was 63 years old. Allahu A'lam. Okay, and then the book goes into lots of books that Imam Sanusi wrote. Not going to read that. I'm going to try to get to the first part of the book, inshallah ta'ala. Okay, now we're starting the book. This mouse was very slow while I'm scrolling down. Sorry. Ibrahim by Muhammad bin Yusuf al-Sanusi al-Hassani. Alhamdulillah, salatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah. All praise belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and peace and blessings be on his messenger. Know that the righteous judgments are limited to three categories: necessary, impossible, and possible. Al-wujud, wal-istihala, wal-jawaz. Remember those concepts. The necessary is that whose non-existence the mind cannot conceive. The impossible is that whose existence the mind cannot conceive. And the possible is that whose existence and non-existence the mind can equally conceive. Okay, so stopping there. This is where it gets technical. So let me remind you all, this book is basically based off of the philosophical law, the accepted philosophical laws of logic, of human logic. That's basically what this paragraph means and this concept. You hear people say all the time, oh, this is Aristotelian logic. This is one of the biggest lies ever, because guys like Imam Sanusi, rahimahumullah, wrote books like this to combat Aristotelian logic, which in Aristotelian logic is not all incorrect, but we make those presumptions before we even know it. And people don't know what that is. Those are all advanced philosophical concepts. Aristotelian logic is the logic according to the Greek scholar Aristotle. So you hear people make fun of the Ash'ari and say, oh, they're Aristotelians. They follow Aristotle, and Imam Sanusi and Imam Ash'ari were secret agents to Aristotelian logic, and they snuck it into Islam because he said these things like this, that all logic rests on what's necessary, what's impossible, and what's possible. But that's not true. So basically what is being done in this book is he's going to tell you what these philosophical laws of logic are, and then in the second half of the book he's going to break them down. So basically what this means, when he said that all rational judgments, or what he means when he says rational judgments, is basically human logic, or what we would like to say in English today, in today's English, common sense. Rational judgment is basically, let's say this: if you came into the kitchen and one of your kids was in the kitchen, and there was the cookie jar was open, and there was a cookie next to the kid, and there was a trail of crumbs leading back to the cookie jar. Our rational judgment is what? This video is getting long, so I want somebody to answer in the comments. What is the answer to that question? If you come into the kitchen and one of the kids is in the kitchen, the cookie jar is open, and there's a trail of crumbs from the kid to the cookie jar, what is your rational judgment going to tell you? Anybody answer that real quick in the comments? And I'm asking for a fact. I can ask the youngster this right here, because it happens to him all the time, as a matter of fact. What are y'all going to presume? Anybody but a dead body. I don't see nobody typing fast enough. Nyla, stop cheating. You already know this stuff. Oh, okay. Somebody else commented. Okay. A lot of comments. Okay, a lot. I see it. I couldn't see them before. Okay, everybody. See, this is why I asked that question. Why I asked everybody to answer this question. That the kid got into the cookie jar. Of course. That's what he means when he says rational judgment. And I don't want to get into much into the Arabic technical terms, but this is what they call hukm al-aqli, and for the concept, the Islamic concept is called hukm al-aqli. So that's what this basically is. And how's that relevant to belief? How's that relevant to having belief? How's that relevant to God? How is that relevant to the existence of God? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us, via the Quran, he told us that he gave us aql. He gave human beings aql. It's the best gift that he gave us alongside of faith. We were all born with faith. He gave us faith from the womb, from before the womb. So the reason why we have aql, the only reason we're able to articulate a sentence and other animals, mammals, are not, like dogs, cats, gorillas, so on and so forth. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us to have the glory of the responsibility to worship him. Worshiping Allah is a glory. That's a glorification. That's a privilege. That's the word I'm looking for. That's a privilege for us to know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Just think about a gorilla. A gorilla can pound me to death in the room. No, I ain't gonna go that far. You know, a dinosaur could pound me. I'll whoop a gorilla, man. But a dinosaur is so big, it can pound me. You know, it can crush me. It can eat me. But it can't outsmart me. You look at the movie Jurassic Park. The movie, the dinosaurs is just destroying the whole planet. But because these little itty bitty, insignificant, finite humans have aql, they have good sense, they have the best form of thinking in their brains, they were able to outsmart these big, huge monsters and defeat them. So that's a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah ta'ala told us this in the Quran. It goes out, that also goes into free will, the argument of free will, but we're going to get into all of that. So what the Sheikh is saying here in this book is that all common sense, all good common sense in people's brains are based on three concepts: what is absolutely necessary, what is impossible, and what is possible. These are the only possibilities, quote, possibilities when it comes to rational thought. Y'all, please follow. These are, this is deep philosophical stuff, but it's imperative that we bring ourselves to some level of understanding this. So going forward, and we getting close on time. I hope that made sense. Going forward in the book, according to the sacred law, it is obligatory upon every legally responsible person to know what is necessary for our master, the sublime, the majestic, as well as what is impossible and possible for him. So that's emphasize that part. We already spoke about the mukallaf in the fiqh presentations in our fiqh classes on Friday fiqh. So I'm assuming that y'all already know what the responsible person is. We ain't gonna waste no time on that. So it's obligatory that you know this, and you see that the Sheikh said it. He wouldn't have said it if it wasn't true. And it's in the beginning of the book. Before we get into what the concept, get into the concepts and what the concepts are and what the concepts actually mean, is letting you know you must know this stuff. And like I said before in the introduction, that is because if you don't know who you're worshiping, then you're not in worship. You're not worshiping anything. Just like the Christians, they believe They fell victim to not having a foundation in Aqidah. They're worshiping a human being, and they're worshiping a concept of a human being. That's a problem. I don't need to worship nothing I can, it's equal to me. I don't need to worship that. That's one thing that didn't really sit well with me when I was a Christian. It didn't make sense to me how Jesus could be God or he could be God's son, and depending on which Christian type of Christian you're talking to, how could Jesus be God? Number one, it was just common sense to me. My Hukmul Akli told me before I knew any of this stuff. I used to ask everybody, I used to ask so many people, how was God dead for 3 days? It just sparked in my brain. It was like, who was running the universe? And I was in prison at the time. I'm like, shoot, I couldn't run my drug enterprise while I was in prison. And that's something that's smaller than the universe, much smaller. So who was running the universe when God died? And then the other question that comes to your hukmul akli, that comes to your good common sense, your good rational thinking, the good laws of rationalism that you're born with, is if Jesus was God's son, how come God didn't intervene and crush everybody when they was jumping his son and doing all this bad stuff to the son? Side note, they say, oh, because he had to die for people's sins. No, he didn't. And we learned this in this book and books like this, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is al-Qadir. He do what he want to do. He's the all-powerful. He does. There's nothing. There's no contingencies that belong to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Before I knew this book, my hukm al-aqli told me that. My hukm al-aqli is like, man, that don't make sense. Number one, if anybody look at my son wrong, I'm gonna rip him into 1,000 pieces. That's the first thing. So you telling me that I have more ghira, I have more proudness about being a father than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Na'udhu billah, he don't have no kids. I got more than he does. And number two, I wouldn't. That's like me saying I got to sacrifice. That's like Harvard coming to me and saying, "Hey, you got to sacrifice your son. And you got to kill him in order for your people to get into Harvard." What? I was like, "No, I got the money. Here's the money. Here's the money. I'm gonna pay you, and he gonna go to Harvard." If the people's sins need to be forgiven, Allah, people's sins gone, forgiven, forget about it. Why would it? Doesn't make sense. It doesn't belong to good human logic that Allah will allow his son, quote, to be tortured in order for human beings to get sacrificed. I mean, to get sins. That makes no sense whatsoever. So this is why you must know this stuff, so that you don't get lost in the fairy tale land of doctrine. You must know this stuff. So we're gonna wrap up. We touched into the book. This whole book is based on those three concepts: al-istihala, excuse me, I'm choking, al-wujub, al-istihala, and al-jawaz. This whole book is based on those three concepts. Is everybody pretty much clear on that? That's the important stuff. Everybody pretty much clear on that? Just give me at least 3 yeses in the comments, and then we can close this up, inshallah ta'ala. Because it's almost time for Maghrib. At least here in Cincinnati it is. So to Malika said yes. So where can I find the book? Brother Rashid said yes. Somebody else said yes. I can't see all. It keeps saying. Hold up. Let me see who said this in this book. I think I gotta go to the group. I got to figure out how to sync my page, the YouTube, and the actual group on Facebook, because some of y'all comment on different places and it won't show me all the comments. Okay, that was Nabila, the kid. Yes, I can't see it. I think those are YouTube comments. I can't see. If anybody know, you can download the book. Are these lives saved somewhere? Sister Nabila, what do you mean? Are the lives saved somewhere? That's Sister Nabila said, where can we find a book? You can download it. I'll send it to you, inshallah ta'ala. It's called just Google As-Sanusi. Let me put it in the comments. Just Google this. There's a couple variations. Me personally, I like Sheikh Saeed Folders, and I have another one from Sheikh Abu Adam that I like. I like both of them. Okay, so just Google this. Just Google that, the Sanusi Creed, and it'll pop up. It should. The one from Sheikh Saeed Fowler is he kind of like me and Sheikh Ismail was talking about this last night. He like gave almost a literal translation from the Arabic, so you might have to be acquainted with the Arabic a little bit in order to get what he was trying to say in the English. He almost gave it a literal translation, but scholars, me and Sheikh Ismail was talking about this last night. Scholars have a lingo, and you got to be somewhat acquainted with some of the uh, grammatical structures that they use in their expressions for what they're trying to say. Because one word, I got stuck on one particular word, but Sheikh Ismail, he breathes this stuff. May Allah Subhanahu wa Taala preserve him. So he was able to give it to me, right off the top of his head. But if you're not familiar with those styles, it'll throw you way off, like way, way, way off. And I thought one word meant one thing, but the way that scholars would use one word is not the every like epoch of people has their lingo. Like gangsters have their lingo, players have their lingo, sports players have their lingo, politicians have their lingo, so everybody has, a lingo or a slang that they use, even our scholars. So if you're not familiar with that lingo, then Sheikh Saeed Fawda's his might be kind of hard for you to follow. Most of the copies that I've seen of this book, they like straight to the point. They just give you like the raw text, which is fine. That's what's obligatory, is just to know the raw text. Let me see who this other one is by. Yeah, I found a simple one that's really nice. I'll find it for you right now. Give me 1 second. Yeah, it's the one from Abu Adam. So I would say, like, if you're not really familiar with this book, get the one from Sheikh Abu Adam, the Sanusi Creed by Sheikh Abu Adam. Get either one, get both, then you can just work on it. But, okay, so I don't see any more questions on Facebook or YouTube, so I can watch. Uh oh, wrong one. Hold up. I don't want to miss any questions. Are these live saved somewhere? Oh, the live streams. Oh, yeah. That it's in the group. Sister Nabila, I don't know where you watching from, but this is our group, the True Way of the True Akida of the Salaf on Facebook, and on YouTube, it's the True Way of the Salaf. It's the True Way of the Salaf. I think that's what it says in the title. I can see the title here, but I don't know if I'll have my wife send it to you, inshallah ta'ala. If anybody doesn't have any questions, we're gonna close this out and we'll revisit the book. We'll get straight into the book and the explanation of the book. Sorry, the introduction to the book was too long. I definitely want to be clear with this stuff before we touch these kinds of books, that you know what you're getting into and why you must get into it. That is very important. Very, very important. Okay, I don't see any more questions. Barakallahu fikum, Brother Rashid. Inshallah ta'ala, I will see y'all Friday night. Everything's going to start being at 7:30. That's a good time for me. I'm pretty much almost done with work or done working, and it can get on here. So inshallah ta'ala, we'll be back Friday night with Friday Night Fiqh, and we are doing the introductory fiqh of purification and worship. from Imam Akhdari. We already did the introductions for that, so we just gonna be driving straight into the text, inshallah ta'ala. I'll see y'all then. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.